it is my pleasure to introduce to you our President and CEO, Gary Officer.
Thank you. John was more than generous with his compliments because the National Office and the staff have had an extraordinary year because of the collective efforts of all of us. So thanks, John, for your introduction. What a year we have had as an organization. For me, 2010 is the story of the people that we serve. It's the story of rebuilding together. The 50 for 5 events in New Orleans painted a picture for the world of everything that represents the best of our mission. You, the affiliate network, coming together with hundreds of volunteers, corporate partners, elected officials, and the media, joining forces to help American homeowners to bring life back to suffering communities and hope back to countless families. Our story is captured in many ways in the faces and in the emotional stories of the 50 families that we helped in New Orleans during 50 for 5. And two families in particular stood out for me: Mrs. Barbara Hansel and Miss Ruthie Lee Jones. These wonderful, proud matriarchs lost their husbands during that long transition back to their home city. But they never gave up. They never gave up. These women kept their families together. They insisted on returning back to their homes, honoring the wishes of their late husbands. And in spite of many challenges, their determination to return to their home city and their homes was realized through the work of rebuilding together. Standing with HUD Secretary Sean Donovan, who happens to be a great friend of ours now because of 50 for 5, we sat and we looked at this house that we were working in. And this house was completely gutted. And Rebuilding Together New Orleans, with all the volunteers, came in and started to rebuild from scratch. And rebuild from scratch for Miss Ruthie Lee Jones. We were struck, both of us, by the commitment of the volunteers on that hot August day. And even more so, by the unwavering determination of the people of New Orleans, who vowed to return to their home in spite of some insurmountable odds and challenges that many of them confronted during their time away. The importance of our mission, I believe, is evidenced in the work that you do across the network. In 10,000 projects each year capturing the spirit of giving back and in the answer to the critical call of help that many of you receive from homeowners who are just like your families and just like mine. Our work comes to life in the story also of the 5 families on Joseph Avenue in Nashville. Families who were forced out of their homes because of the floods in June, but who returned to their home, their community, and their city because of the Sears-sponsored block build in September. Our work is also captured in your work across the entire country, which represents, for me, the unique application of our business model in communities that you serve. So New Orleans and Nashville were not aberration. They are the norm being played out in your community. From Oakland, California, to Des Moines, Iowa, to Central Florida, we've observed a most amazing expression of your work on the lives of ordinary, hardworking Americans on a daily basis. And I congratulate each and every one of you for your service to your community. Now that deserves a round of applause to yourselves. Also a year when we confirmed what we have long suspected through your affiliate statistic reports, that the overwhelming majority of families that we serve live at or below the federal poverty line. At or below the federal poverty line. They are America's poor. And they are being served in an environment of continued economic uncertainty. So while our impact numerically is at an all-time high, we cannot rest on our laurels, because in these challenging times, people need our help. We cannot rest on our laurels. With unemployment hovering at 10% nationally, a foreclosure pipeline that is projected to increase by a record 1.2 million over the next 12 months. And keep in mind, we've had 4.4 million foreclosures over the last 3 years. Our communities are suffering across our nation as never before. I also believe that within the nonprofit housing community, I would expect there to be increased competition as never before for scarce resources. So these forces combined, I believe, must influence within our network an execution strategy that is based on innovation, right? Quality and innovation, scale. Let's do more big projects impacting larger people in the same community. And media savvy. Let's get our media partners out to our projects to see the best of what we do, so the visual of that experience can be shared with a broader audience. Now, 4 years ago, I shared with you that my vision for the national office was to make us a truly affiliate-centric organization. What does that mean? Well, today, we concentrate with the national office all of our efforts around promoting the welfare of your organizations through our work. And we continue to revisit our strategies on how we can best use our resources to help you. And allow me to share with you for a moment a summary of our efforts in 2010. The affiliate relations group within the national office is the focal point of our engagement with the network. And through their work, we monitor how you perform. We evaluate your funding needs. We have a window into your world on your funding or leadership challenge. And if there are issues that require our assistance, that may need our support and engagement, we will come to your aid when and where necessary. Because we are here to support your needs. Now, collectively, you are also raising the bar on your leadership, on your ability to run a good affiliate. We've seen that through our reports. And year to date, some 150 of you, 150 affiliates in our network, have met our affiliate partnership agreement standards of excellence for nonprofit management. 150 of you have met that standard. Yes. Some 35 of you are working to meet that standard so that 90% of the network will be in compliance with solid business practices to ensure your long-term viability. Why is that important? When we have bigger projects, when we have more sponsors, we have to rely on our ability to execute through our network. More scrutiny comes to our network as we grow as an organization. So maintaining a strong network in these difficult times for us is absolutely critical to our ability to sell our mission, to sell our network to prospective donors and new friends. It's in all of our interest that you are doing well. To this end, and as a result of guidance from our national board, and our board should be acknowledged because they have been extremely supportive of any efforts we can employ, any strategies we ought to modify to use resources internally to support your needs where you are today. And so with involvement from our board, we have deliberately slowed the pace of new affiliate launches across our nation. Why? Because we want to respond to and meet the existing needs of our current affiliates. We want to meet the existing needs of our current affiliates and not to prioritize expanding the network to include new affiliates. At the same time, though, we are launching new affiliates, and currently we have new affiliates being launched in Charlotte, in Memphis, and in Knoxville. Now, we encourage you to hold us also responsible for how we can best service your needs. In 2008, when we surveyed the network, your level of satisfaction of us was rated at 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. A year later, that score jumped 50% to 7.5 out of 10. So your feedback on how we can best support your needs is always welcome, because I am determined to ensure that your satisfaction rating continues to climb as high as possible, because that reflects on our ability to meet your needs based on what you have identified as the areas where those resources can be deployed. On the resource and business development side, which is the area of our organization that provides financial support to you, our affiliates, we continue to send a stream of funding out of the door to support you across the network. At the end of 2009, the national office had passed through almost $25 million of funding over a 3-year period. For 2010, our current and very conservative projections forecast total cash revenue in excess of $12 million, and approximately half of which goes back out to you across the network, and total revenue from all sources exceeding $18 million. That also deserves a round of applause. Now, these staggering numbers, when measured against the economic climate that we are in, is astounding when you measure the reality that government and individuals represent less than 3% of the national office total revenue. Less than 3% of our revenue comes from government and individuals. And we are where we are today because of the support of our corporate friends. And if you are in the audience today and you are representing our corporate partners, please stand and be recognized. Our corporate partners. Our corporate sponsors have elected to partner with Rebuilding Together because they recognize the importance of our mission. From a purpose-driven marketing standpoint, or for others, from the cause-related marketing benefits that we provide them, they recognize the importance of the engagement. We started the year in Miami at Kickoff to Rebuild, supported by the on-site presence of the nationally syndicated Steve Harvey Morning Show, to the mammoth 50 for 5 project in New Orleans. And from all those efforts, all those projects, we have garnered over 316 million media impressions year to date. 316 million media impressions have come out of the work that we have done across the network with you. The equivalent advertising value of that 316 million media impressions is approximately $10 million. So more Americans today than ever know who we are because of our collective efforts. That deserves a round of applause. So where are we going from here? What are our plans for the next 12 months? Well, my vision is very simple. I'm a very simple guy. So my vision is very simple. I want us to serve as many financially struggling homeowners as our budgets will allow. I aspire for the affiliate network to assume greater comfort and confidence on taking on heavier rebuilds where possible. And in cases where resources are more challenged, I encourage you to simply prioritize your core business around the critical repair needs of your homeowners. I also aspire for our network to become more opportunistic when presenting the pricing for engagement with new sponsors. Because you cannot keep charging the same price for the same work 5 years in a row, right? And many of you guys are doing that. The cost of doing business for everybody is subject to inflation. So let's reevaluate how we price the engagement and we modify the cost appropriately. Now, the examples of your work, of the dignity, the safety, and the independence you restore for thousands are, for me, a constant reminder of the priceless value of our mission. We must never lose sight of the importance of our mission. For our mission, the families and the communities that we serve provides the purpose for our work, right? For the next year, you will observe the continuation of efforts to support your work and showcase the brand of Rebuilding Together. Expect to see multiple strategies, including consumer-activated campaigns, marquee events with the NFL at Super Bowl, the NBA at the All-Star Game, a mega rebuild in partnership with HUD in Denver, our second annual Major League Baseball All-Star Game rebuild, and of course, I have to say this, our highly anticipated return to New Orleans for the Big Bang completion of Rebuild 1000 at next year's conference. And as we engage new audiences with marquee events and campaigns, look for momentum among our media partners and special endorsements, such as the one you are about to enjoy. These big-ticket events are designed with a very simple goal. Our goals are to increase the visibility of the organization, drive awareness about the importance of our mission, and ultimately to activate a new generation of donors to support our mission. And all of these goals are designed to serve you, but ultimately they are designed to serve our needy homeowners. So as I close, I'm reminded again of a rather moving testimony that our good friend Steve Joyce from Choice Hotels, who happens to be their CEO, was quoted as saying on camera in New Orleans at 50 for 5. And Steve said, I quote, "This is what America is all about. It is stepping up when folks are in need. And together, you, the affiliate network, along with our corporate partners, our vendors, volunteers, and community partners, together, collectively, we are stepping up in a very big way, year in, year out in our communities. So let me congratulate everyone on yet a remarkable year at Rebuilding Together. So before I leave you, let me take a moment to recognize some very important people in the audience. I'd like to recognize and thank members of the National Board who are here. And if you are National Board members in the audience, please rise and be recognized. To our national staff, the national staff of Rebuilding Together, please rise and be recognized. To our capacity corps, we have a bunch of young, talented people here. Our capacity corps members, please rise and be recognized. And to our invited guests and partners in attendance, thank you so much for being here in Las Vegas. I want to thank you all for your commitment and support, but also your friendship. So please enjoy a productive 2010 conference, network, swap stories, take ideas, and apply that back to your communities. So before I really close, that was a teaser. I'd like you to take a moment in a second to view a special PSA that will form the basis of a national media campaign that will begin in January of 2011 that will go out to media outlets across our nation, because for the last 4 years, I've heard constantly, who is our spokesperson, right? And I've also heard, what are you doing about our brand? Well, after 12 months of hard work, we have something to share with you. So can you roll, please?
What does hope look like? It's in the rising walls of a home rebuilt, raising the spirit of a community reborn. What does heart sound like? It's in the rhythm of nails pounded into wood, a beat driven by the conviction that inspiration can overcome desperation. What does home feel like? It's in the faces of Americans who built generations of memories in their home and then saw it slipping away, until friends they had never met turned out to lend a hand. For more than 30 years, Rebuilding Together has spread hope to homeowners in need, providing free home rehabilitation, making homes safer and more energy efficient. This is a place where you can turn dreams into reality. Go to rebuildingtogether.org and share the feeling of home.